Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern. and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome here to Hotlanta as it plays host to our 24th race of Season 6 of the NNSCRA Duracell Cup Series. The Atlanta Motor Speedway, the D-shaped mile-and-a-half racetrack, which in the previous 5 seasons was actually our 4th venue on the schedule. It has been moved all the way down to this crucial point of the season, where drivers will try for a last-ditch effort to clinch themselves a playoff position the last 2 weeks. Drivers have made preparations in that regard. Go back 2 weeks. Ali Liera picking up the victory on fuel strategy at Homestead. She's in a playoff spot. And last week at Watkins Glen, it was Laura Chung holding off her Auto Junction Racing teammate Ryan Brommer. A 1-2 finish for the team, but Chung with her first career win. And right now, it is getting very, very treacherous for drivers that up until a couple of weeks ago were looking like they could possibly point their way into the postseason. Right now, our playoff grid currently has 14 race winners in there. Only 2 drivers currently in on points, and we've still got 3 drivers that have victories this season hovering below 30th in the points. And who knows, by the end of today, some of them, if not all of them, could maybe be back up inside the top 30, and that leaves no space available for any driver to point their way into the playoffs. And that's also assuming that we don't have another different driver go to victory lane here today. We got a candidate on the front row as Auto Junction Racing looking for back-to-back wins here. With Laura Chung's win at Watkins Glen, Ryan Butcher lines up on the pole position here today. Ryan comes into this race 12th in overall points. I believe he is the 5th highest driver in the point standings without a win. And don't forget, that 78 team last season won the regular season championship. So it's a very strong race car, and based off what we saw last week, the team is starting to find its stride. So we'll see if starting track position is going to be important here today or not. He'll be alongside of Mitchell Collins. Collins, a 2-time winner this season, looking for his 3rd win in Season 6, looking to join Nick Gunther and Destin Boland in a tie for the number 1 seed. Right now, Mitchell is in a tie for the number 3 seed with the other 2-time winner in the field, Keith Batson. Behind them, you got Zachary Fitzwater and William Hoer, a couple of rookies that have formerly been to victory lane. They're obviously looking for the second wins of their respective careers, confirm themselves spots in the playoffs, though right now they're both in very good positioning points-wise with their wins. Fitzwater is 6th in points, Will Hoer is 14th in points, so very likely they'll be battling for the championship. And completing the top 5, James Qualls. Going to be an interesting one for him here today because we're going to take a look here at your playoff points, and you will notice that James Qualls is missing from the playoff grid, where a number of weeks we've seen him inside of either the 14th, 15th, or 16th seed, pointing his way into the playoffs because of the fact that we've now got 14 race winners inside of our top 16. We have only 2 spots available for drivers to point their way in. Matt Haas, the points leader, Charles Sanford, 4th in points. Qualls is right now the first driver out of the playoffs. He is currently 7th in overall point stands, and he is, got just some quick math in my head here. He is a total of 22 points behind Charles Sanford for that final 16th spot to get in on points. So it's getting down to crunch time. We'll see. Maybe James Qualls can find victory lane here today. Maybe Charles Sanford, Matt Haas could do the same, and maybe well, quell the doubts, quell the nerves here, calm the nerves of the last-minute drivers getting into victory lane here near the close of the season. I said it a couple of weeks ago, and I'll say it again. Matt Haas, Charles Sanford, James Qualls, the consistency they've had this season, if they do not make it into the playoffs, if they just that checkered flag that eludes them and they aren't battling the postseason, it's going to be a crime because they really seem to be drivers that, if they make it into the playoffs, they are going to be championship contending teams. But nonetheless, it's time to go down trackside. It's time to get those most famous words in motorsports, and it's time to go racing here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let's go down trackside.
Drivers, start your engines!
Right side of your screen, going to show you your 42 car starting lineup for today's 65 lap event at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, the traditional Atlanta Motor Speedway. Different people have their opinions about Atlanta Super Speedway. I don't much care for it. I like the track, the worn out surface where you had to have talent to make it around this racetrack, not just hold the throttle wide open, but that's just me. Other people like the Atlanta Super Speedway. And this racetrack's not going to disappoint. It's not going to be a calm race by any stretch of the imagination, so there is that. Former winners coming into this event. We've got 3 of them in the field here today. Jesse Turner, I feel like we've said Jesse Turner's name a lot in the previous winners column the last couple of weeks. He was a former winner at Watkins Glen. I think he was a former winner at the Charlotte Roval, so we're coming to a lot of tracks he's had a win at in previous seasons. Carson Gum took the championship back in Season 2. This was a track that he won at that clinched himself a spot in the playoffs. And Dylan Young bringing up the rear of the field, dead last on the grid here today. He's the most recent winner back in Season 4. Well, here we go. Do we have another driver lock themselves into the playoffs with a win here today? Or do we maybe see another driver become a multi-time winner along with Gunther, Bolin, Batson, and Collins? Green flag is in the air, and we are racing at Atlanta. Wide there, around 12th, 13th position. Shelton took Matt Haas 3 wide, picked up a couple of spots. Haas is still in the middle with Destin Bolin on the inside, as leading lap number 1 is going to be the pole sitter Ryan Butcher. 3 wide behind, potentially for second. LaPlante shows the nose on Qualls. Fitzwater kicked up high side. Ooh, we might be 4 wide. Mitchell Collins slipped up out of the groove. William Hoer's going to take the middle. Shelton there. I think that's Jose Mills on the bottom. Let's keep an eye on this. Settled out to 3 wide, but now we might be going back to 4 wide again. Collins is in trouble. And Quentin Moore's going to let him in. We're back to 3 wide. That was close. 4 wide a couple of occasions. Now it's Joanna Atwood Motorsports moving into second and was third. Crossing the line that last time. Qualls and Osborne. Destin Bolin bringing up that inside line there. 3-time winner, looking for his 4th win of his rookie campaign. As Butcher continues to show the way, we're going to keep the camera focused on the 3 wide back here, around 4th, 5th, 6th position. 4 wide further back, Charles Sanford to the inside of Ryan Butcher, Austin LaPlante, and William Hoer. Like he couldn't make the move there on the front straightaway. Ooh, LaPlante, look at that 48, all sides, all sorts of squirrely there, side to side. Trying to hang on to it on this worn out Atlanta track surface. Things a little calmer as soon as I say that. Now Reggie Fogelman goes to the bottom 3 wide on Destin Bolin. Joshua Osborne going to move by his teammate James Qualls up to the 2nd spot. Osborne, one of the 3 drivers previously mentioned that is outside the top 30 in the points, former winner. Osborne 35th in the point standings. He is a total of 37 points behind the cut line coming into this race. The other 2 are Chris Dollerton and Daniel Voiles. Dollerton is 51 points behind the cut line. Daniel Voiles is 66 points behind the cut line coming into this race. Fogelman moves into second, and he's going to be the first challenger for Ryan Butcher, who had about a 3-4 car length advantage over the 3 wide behind him. Charles Samper now on the inside of RJ Bishop. That's the battle for third. Samper might try to go for a twofer here. Fogelman went to throw the block, couldn't do it. Samper got to his left rear quarter panel, and that will continue to help Ryan Butcher stay out in front. Controlling the draft here is the 78, moving top, moving bottom, keeping him stacked up double wide and not allowing either lane to be able to get a run on him to take the race lead. Three wide, several areas all the way back through this field. Third place here, Bolin, Sanford, and Bishop as Fogelman gets clear for second place again, sets his sights on the 3M Toyota Camry. A little irony there because first career win that Ryan Butcher got, it was back at the, I want to say it was the Pensacola Road Course. In season 1, he was driving the number 24, the sponsor was 3M. Look at the number and the sponsor. We got lined up first and second here. You can see the car is over the bumps there into turn 3. This worn out track surface is anything but a smooth ride. Let's see what exactly it's like behind the wheel of one of these machines. How about we go on board with the driver second in the point standings there, Michael Norman in the 22, who's in the middle of a 3 wide situation around 15th. Not as much off the throttle time as I expected there. Sounds like you bail out of the throttle a bit there going into the entrance of turn 1 and then out of the throttle through the center of 3 and 4. So this old track surface, kind of right now racing in a way like a super speedway. Very little out of the throttle time, at least for a driver back there in traffic. I would have to assume that these drivers here, including Ryan Butcher, he's led well, no, he has not led all 7 laps. He's led 7 of the 8 previous laps. But I would have to assume that he's full throttle. He's not lifting at all. The other driver that apparently has led a lap was Reggie Fogelman and James Qualls. Fogelman's been out in front for 1 lap, and Qualls took 2 laps out in front. Must have missed that. Didn't see that happen. I thought that Ryan Butcher had led every lap so far. RJ Bishop's going to move into second place. Will Hoer there in third. Single file now amongst the top 4. Charles Sanford and Dustin Bolin. They're going to duke it out for 5th place. Jose Mills right there in the 38. A lot of people wondering when Jose is going to get back to victory lane. Most winless driver in the Duracell Cup Series. Still looking for his first top 5 on the year is Jose Mills. 21st in the point standings as battle for the lead. RJ Bishop, nice run there. Shows the nose going into turn 1. Top line, though, going to prevail. Reggie Fogelman with a big push to Ryan Butcher down the back straightaway, and they're going to go to first and second. So looks like there's actually an outside line starting to form here. A lot of rubber has been laid up there. A lot of grip for these drivers. Got some more former winners back here just outside of the top 5. Keith Batson, 2-time winner. Last time by crossed in 7th, and there's our Dover winner, Quentin Moore. Quentin's got to be careful in this race, as does the 88 of Jack Dunnard, because those are 2 drivers that could make drivers trying to point their way in very, very happy if they have a poor performance today. Quentin is 29th in points. He is only 4 points ahead of the cut line. Jack Dunnard in the 88, who last time by scoring had 33rd. He is 28th in points, and he is only 5 points ahead of the 30th in the standings cut line. Though to be fair, Quentin Moore's been on a bit of a skid as of late. He dropped 6 spots in the standings after a really bad run last week at Watkins Glen. Jack Dunner, on the other hand, he's actually climbing in the point standings. Sanford will take third. It's funny, it always seems like we see this Reese's car and the Hershey's car of Will Hoer around each other. Reese's, of course, a Hershey product. But 2 drivers, 2 different teams, 2 different manufacturers, but they do have a common interest in terms of sponsorship. RJ Bishop trying to get that inside line going in some way, shape, or form, but it's just not happening. These 2 have been hooked up on the top line, and anybody that makes a challenge to the inside, they've been able to hold them off. Ryan Butcher and Reggie Fogelman. Nearing 20 laps into this race, we have been under the green flag ever since the start, so that brings into question what is the fuel window for these drivers. How far can they go on the tank, especially with the fact that, as we saw with the onboard with Michael Norman earlier, very little off the throttle time, so that's a lot of fuel being used up. Look at that, Fogelman. Late move into turn 1. Don't know if it's going to work for him or not. Going to try to get to the left rear quarter panel of the 78. RJ Bishop's going to go down there with him. He'll have a little bit of draft on this inside line going through 3 and 4. So I'll have to check up a tiny bit there through the center of 3 and 4 did Fogelman, but drag race to the line. Who gets it? Fogelman. That's his 2nd lap led today. Can he clear here through 1 and 2? I think he's got it. Reggie Fogelman is going to take the race lead, and he will be in control now. The rookie out of Northeast Motorsports. Oh, wow, big checkup you saw right there at the 78. Almost ran over the 24, had to lift, and that's going to stack him up behind. Batson and Bishop going to be side by side, maybe 3 wide with Mills showing the nose in turn 1. Benjamin Snyder in the mix there in the 74. And Dylan Poteet in the 31 car. Poteet had a great run last week at Watkins Glen. Gained 4 spots in the standings. He's 32nd in points coming into this one, 17 points behind the cut line. Remember, Laura Chung, our winner last week, was down just above the cut line when she went to victory lane. So, you know, I'm looking down around that 30th in the standings area, and that's where I think we're going to see a lot of potential race winners here down this final home stretch. Atlanta, Bristol Dirt, and Auto Club. Drivers, desperation moves, realizing they are in must-win situations. There's no way that they can climb up high enough in the point standings in 3 weeks to challenge drivers like Matt Haas and Charles Sanford and James Qualls. They have to find victory lane if they're going to battle for the championship here in Season 6. So I'm looking down there at drivers like Jessica Schulten and Benjamin Snyder, Rob Evans, Cole Deaver, Reggie Fogelman, Dylan Poteet, Anthony McCurry, even throw into that mix one half of our defending champions from last year, Caleb Vogler. These are the drivers I'm looking at that are in desperation mode. They are in must-win situations right now, today and in the next 2 weeks. You see Poteet in that Spider-Man Camaro moving his way up now into the top 3. Looking for 2nd on Ryan Butcher. Not going to be able to make the move. He's got drafting help, though. Well, not anymore. RJ Bishop's going to take him 3 wide as Poteet drops back to 4th, and that's the battle for the spot between himself and the 98. Poteet, I think, is going to get the run here out of turn 4. And Ryan Butcher wants the lead back from Reggie Fogelman. He makes a move here on the front straightaway going to turn 1, and he's got the 12 car for drafting help. This is going to be interesting because this is all one big pack. Right now, you've got only 7 seconds separating the leader back to 42nd. All cars still running on the lead lap. When we end up getting to that green flag pit stops, it's not if, it's when, unless we have a caution. There's no way they could make it 65 laps on what they've got in the tank. It's going to split the field up quite a bit. It'll be interesting to see if we're going to have one big pack still, if everybody's going to be able to draft up. I mean, things are really spread out here. Back behind around the 20th position. Look at this. Yeah, Shelton's in 21st right now, and then here's 22nd on back. Look at them all strung out, all single file. There's no side-by-side battles going on right now. 61 of Anthony McCurry appears to be off the pace. There's last week's winner, not winner, runner-up finisher, I should say, Ryan Brommer. He's back here in the 41st spot. Jesse Turner, former winner here, the inaugural winner from Season 1 back in 39th. There's Ali Liera, our winner from a couple of weeks ago at Homestead. She's mired back in 37th. There's last week's winner, Laura Chung, 34th last time by. And I mentioned Jack Dunnard and Quentin Moore. They need good runs today to stay ahead of that cut line. Jack's right now in 32nd, but a lot can change, especially if we end up getting to that round of green flag pit stops. We'll have to wait and see about it here as Dylan Poteet got around Ryan Butcher, moved him up to second, and now he wants the race lead from Reggie Fogelman. Not going to be able to get it this time as he'll tuck back in line. '27 of Joshua Osborne. 37 points behind the cut line coming into this race. Had back-to-back poor performances at Homestead and Watkins Glen. Trying to combat that, and look who is up in 11th, Dylan Young. Now, why is that impressive? Remember I mentioned he's the most recent winner, and he started dead last on the field. In less than 30 laps, Dylan Young has worked his way up plus 31 positions. And I think we got pit stops taking place here. Quentin Moore in the 89 is the first one to hit pit lane. Ryan Butcher's coming down with him. I think that was Keith Batson I saw. LaPlante, Fitzwater, Qualls, Collins, Haas, Voiles, Hendrickson. There's a bunch of them back there. I see Carson Gum. I see Reese Banks, Jesse Turner, Laura Chung, Rob Evans, Caleb Fogler, Samuel Ryder, Rick Johnson, Ryan Brommer. There's Anthony McCrory. So now does Fogelman come in this lap? Looks like he bailed out of the throttle. You saw the sparks coming out of the tailpipes. He's going to lead a host of drivers down pit road, including Poteet and is that Norman back there? I think that was Mills, Bishop, Joshua Osborne. I think that turned the race lead over to the three-time winner Nick Gunther. Oh, contact on pit road. Anthony McCurry and Jessica Shelton. Nope, actually turned the race lead over to Dylan Young in the 2 car. I didn't see him ahead of Nick Gunther. So Dylan Young, 31 laps from dead last of the lead, albeit with the help of the Cyclo Green Flag pit stops. Looks like Benjamin Snyder and Benjamin Miles, the Benjamins, are going to stay out an extra lap. Dylan Young, Charles Sanford, Nick Gunther, and Will Hoer are in this time. And that just leaves us with 2 drivers remaining to cycle around this round of green flag pit stops. This could be a little bit treacherous with cars coming off the racetrack, or onto the racetrack, I should say. And Benjamin Snyder, Benjamin Miles going to be trying to find pit lane. Looks like Snyder's going to get behind the 08. Miles closed up a ton on Benjamin Snyder right there. And those 2 will hit pit road now. This, I think, right now could be the battle for cycling around to the lead. Reggie Fogelman, Quentin Moore, Ryan Butcher, Keith Batson. Looks like that could be the top 4 here. As I think Fogelman will cycle around. Look at the run the 89 car got, though, with this pack of 3. Fogelman's going to be a sitting duck. He's going to throw the block, though, on the 89 car. And he's going to keep these 3 at bay, despite the fact that they had a ton of momentum. Reggie Fogelman, of course, looking for his 2nd career victory, but first of the season. Got his first career win last year, driving for 4 Racing Enterprises. And 3 wide for the lead. Keith Batson. Ooh, wow, he really had to bail out because that was a very shallow entry into turn 1. Going to keep them side by side, though, for the lead between Quentin Moore and Reggie Fogelman. And now Ryan Butcher with a big run off the top side of turn 2. He's going to show the nose 3 wide going into 3. They're all going to be dead even coming out of turn 4. Who gets the advantage down the front straightaway? Who does Batson offer any drafting help to? It's going to be Butcher on the inside. Can he slide up in front of Quentin Moore? He's clear. Ryan Butcher back to the race lead, the pole sitter, trying to go coast to coast here today. So that's your top 4. Dylan Poteet cycled out to 5th. He's about to catch up to that pack, along with 3-time winner Destin Bolin. Zachary Fitzwater there in the 66. Who was that car I just saw on pit road? I'll try and find that out in a minute. 7th place right now is Dylan Young. Charles Sanford is 8th. Nick Gunther 9th, and they just dropped Joshua Osborne back to the 10th position. Oh, slow car! 12 of Destin Bolin. And Bolin's back on pit lane from 6th place. He just ran his fastest lap. What has happened to the 3-time winner? This is definitely an unscheduled pit stop, and it just checked up a bunch of drivers. I think Will Hoer might have paid the biggest price for that one, as Poteet has indeed caught this group and made it a 5-car pack. Destin Bolin would have been part of this pack before he hit pit lane. Noah Hendrickson on pit lane right now, showing him 4 laps down in the 42nd position. Nathan Ormond has also lost a lap in the 34. If it's replay worthy, you will be seeing what happened to those respective drivers to have them off the lead lap, courtesy of our NSCRA split cam. As Reggie Fogelman took the race lead back from Ryan Butcher. So far, it's been a battle between the 78 and the 24. Ryan Butcher has led 17 laps. Reggie Fogelman just led his 14th. And then 2 laps led for James Qualls. 1 lap led apiece for Keith Batson, Dylan Young, Benjamin Snyder, and Benjamin Miles. And very stingy today into who has been able to lead laps and who has not, as they're going to catch the 61 of Anthony McCurry, which I'm still trying to figure out what happened with him. We know he had some contact with Jessica Shelton on pit road there during the cycle of green flag pit stops, but he kind of dropped back, and I don't know if he's down a cylinder or what. And how about that? 39 laps in, Reggie Fogelman, race leader, just ran his fastest lap of the race. See if he tops it this lap. Nope. Last time by, 29.159. Fastest lap of the race right now, Jose Mills. 28.734. That translates to 191.143 miles per hour. Right now, Jose Mills in the 11th position. Dylan Young trying to lead this group of about 6 or 7 to catch up to the lead pack, which consists of 6. These guys keep racing side by side. They might be able to catch them. Dylan Young, last time by, about 2.3 seconds back behind the race leader. We'll see if that gap closed up this time or not. They definitely have more race cars. And this lead pack is about to catch the 12 of Destin Bolin, who appears to be up to speed, so that will add to their group and help them. That group with Dylan Young just lost a 10th that last time by. So they are not gaining ground at this point. Now they've got themselves single-filed out back there, it looks like, with Young and Sanford and Gunther, so maybe they'll start closing in. Destin Bolin is up to speed. Unscheduled pit stop. We're still trying to figure out what for. He is now 1 lap down and about to go a 2nd lap down here to Reggie Fogelman. If you're just joining us, we are closing in on 20 laps to go here at Atlanta. We have run clean and green since the start. Maybe have one more round of green flag pit stops here before the close, and we know what the green flag pit stops near the end of the race, what they bring about in terms of late race drama at mile and a half. Just go back 2 weeks ago when Ali Liera was the only driver that decided to stay out in the final 5 laps of the race. She was able to have enough fuel to get to the line and pick up her first victory of the season, subsequently clinching a playoff spot. You look at the drivers up here right now in your top 5 in the hunt currently for this race victory. Reggie Fogelman, Dylan Poteet, and Ryan Butcher, they're all looking for a trip to victory lane for the first time this season, which for every single one of them, based on where they're positioned in points, it could potentially be a playoff spot they would lock up with the checkered flag. Quentin Moore, he's down around that cut line. A second victory could certainly help cushion him away from that 30th and standings cut line. And Keith Batson, he'd love to join Nick Gunther and Destin Bolin as a 3-time winner here this season in Season 6. I believe that based off of Bolin now a lap down, Keith Batson, where he's positioned, they're 9th and 10th in overall standings. So Keith Batson, if he were to win, he would jump to the number 2 seed behind Nick Gunther. And he wants the race lead here on Reggie Fogelman. It's about the most dominant we've seen a Northeast Motorsports car out in front in a race since you go back to Jack Dunnard winning at Phoenix. Saw Benjamin Miles lead, I think it was, 3 or 4 laps last week at Watkins Glen after he got the pole position, but there's really not been a dominant performance lately out of the Northeast Motorsports Chevrolets. Reggie Fogelman looking really, really good here today. But the driver that's kind of been his nemesis, and vice versa, Ryan Butcher, just moved by Keith Batson into 2nd place. This group just trying to catch a whiff of draft off of Quentin Moore. Benjamin Snyder in this group. Jose Mills, Zachary Fitzwater. Number of race win hopefuls in this pack with Dylan Young and Charles Sanford and Benjamin Snyder, Jose Mills, Nick Gunther looking for his 4th win on the year in that Mazda. I think they're closing. Yeah, that last time by, the second group closed it up by 2/10. So they, I think, have got just enough of a whiff of draft here off the 89 of Quentin Moore. So we're about to have a pack of 6 become a pack of maybe 11 or 12. But it's still a question of who can make it on fuel. Can they make it on fuel? Trying to remember when they came to pit road. I think they came to pit road lap, was it 35, 36? So mathematically they should be able to make it the rest of the way, but who knows? The field is spread out as it is. You're going to use up a lot more fuel in little packs than you would in one big pack. Reminder, next week we're heading to Bristol Dirt. It is the final showcase race of the season. We'll find out the driver that is going to get a confirmed spot in next year's Season 7 Duracell Cup Series field. And the finishing results from that showcase race will determine the starting lineup for these main event drivers. And Bristol Dirt, I feel, is going to be another track, much like Dodge Motor Dome, much like Dover, and the Charlotte Roval, where track position is going to be very, very important. Batson looking at the inside of Reggie Fogelman. That inside line has just not been there. Everybody that runs the middle to high line, they have prevailed in the side-by-side battles. Case in point, Ryan Butcher jumps up there to the outside of Keith Batson, and I think he'll get the 2nd spot before they even get to turn 3. Dylan Poteach showing the nose on the inside for 3rd on Batson. If you're going to pass somebody, you got to jump them on the outside line, I feel. And Destin Bolin's helping out that 24 in terms of fuel mileage, because Reggie Fogelman's not out in clean air. He's got draft with the lap car of Destin Bolin. So this is a perfect scenario right now for the Mobil 1 Chevrolet Camaro. Closing in on 10 laps to go here. All 42 cars still running, 38 on the lead lap. I've been keeping tabs on that second group, and they've seemed to stall out 2 seconds back. They were gaining ground, but then they started racing it up. Dylan Young still trying to get a whiff of draft off the 89 of Quentin Moore. If he can drag this group up into the lead pack, and they can at least try and fight their way up into the top 5. Let's see what the lap time looks like this time by. See if it's a draft lap. 29.488. I think that was a draft lap because his previous lap was a 29.6. Yeah, if they can just stay single file here for 1 or 2 more laps, I think they're going to get the draft of the 89. I think now it looks like they're visibly closing. Yeah, they just eclipsed 2 seconds. It was 1.9. from Dylan Young to the race leader. This group is now starting to catch, so we're about to have ourselves a bigger pack, and all of a sudden, Reggie Fogelman has pulled away. About 3 car lengths back to Ryan Butcher, who's under fire from the 31 of Dylan Poteet. It's going to be 10 laps to go this next time by. Can these drivers make it on fuel? Will we have late race pit stops? Joshua Osborne right now running in the 12th position, trying to make his way back up into the top 30. Quentin Moore running in 5th place, doing an excellent job to keep himself away from the cut line after what's been a couple of struggling weeks for him. And Jack Donard right now in the 88's running in 23rd place. So I might be a little bit concerned if I'm that 88 team about where I'm going to be positioned heading into Bristol Dirt points-wise. Am I above? Am I below the cut line? That group has caught Dylan Young now about 2 car lengths off the back bumper of Quentin Moore. He's brought Charles Sanford, Nick Gunther, Benjamin Snyder, and Jose Mills along with him. So we now have the entire top 10 in this lead group. Battle for the lead is on. Ryan Butcher, no help on the bottom. Dylan Poteet's going to move on by for 2nd place. If you're going to make a pass on the inside line, you got to have someone committed to drafting with you. And everybody that sees a car go to the inside, they then immediately jump up to the top side to take advantage and pick up the spots. Ooh, Dylan Poteet, I think, had an opportunity to move up and keep 2nd place from Ryan Butcher, but he didn't. Poteet's going to drop back to 3rd as Butcher swings around for the runner-up spot. Big run down the back straightaway for Ryan Butcher. Not going to make the move this time, though. Batson looks low on Poteet, not going to be able to make the move. Feel like you just get too tight there on that inside line. It's the shorter way around the racetrack, yes, but with the high speeds these drivers are running and with the worn out surface, it's got to be building up the tire heat in the right front, so it's got to be pushing the nose when you're on that inside line. You got to bail out of the throttle, and any momentum you would have off the corner down the straightaway, it's gone. Six to go this time by. Reggie Fogelman has led the most laps today, 35 in total, just about to lead his 36th. It's been a dominating performance for the young driver out of Northeast Motorsports. Came into this race 9 points behind 30th in the standings. A win here today could put him in position to advance into the playoffs, provided he then has a couple of consistent weeks at Bristol Dirt and the regular season finale at Auto Club. Charles Sanford about to move into the top 5 as we got pit stops. Here we go. We had some more drivers at the very tail end of the field come down ahead of the race leaders. Ryan Butcher, Dylan Poteet, Keith Batson, Quentin Moore couldn't make it. So does someone roll the dice? If they're coming in this early, I don't see how anybody can make it on fuel. But you never know. Reggie Fogelman. He's coming in this time. Looks like Sanford might stay out a lap. Or make that Dylan Young is in. Or is that Poteet behind him? No, that was Nick Gunther behind him. He's in. And Jose Mills. Charles Sanford comes into this race in the 16th seed. Looks like there's some left side damage on Laura Chung there. Charles Sanford, does he stretch it? He's got a lot of traffic to deal with here. Nope, he's coming to pit road. Looks like Benjamin Snyder stayed out an extra lap. Let's see if he's in this time. I think Benjamin Miles also stayed out an extra lap. We saw both Snyder and Miles stay out an extra lap the previous time. I think Miles stayed out another lap. Yes, he did. Can Miles make it? Benjamin Miles, dead last in points. Let's see if he bails out of the throttle here. Does he keep going? And he is pitting. Ryan Butcher jumped Reggie Fogelman there. He might cycle out as the race leader. Dylan Poteet might be in second. That #1 pit stall may have paid dividends for the pole sitter, but we gotta wait and see how everyone cycles out. There's Snyder. There's Sanford. Is Sanford gonna get out ahead of the 78? Oh, Poteet almost got up into Ryan Butcher. They're 3 wide. Sanford might cycle around to the top position. They're going to catch him very quickly here. Sanford's not the race leader. Miles has scored the leader that time by, but I think Sanford's going to be the leader this time by, and this next time around he'll see the white flag. Poteet moves into second. What a strategy call by Charles Sanford. That extra lap of staying out may be what gets him his first win of the season. And Charles came into this race 4th in points. That'd be a guaranteed spot in the playoffs, regardless of what happens in the next 2 weeks. Poteet slots into the 2nd spot ahead of the 78. There's the white flag in the air over the hood of the Reese Chevrolet. Last-ditch effort, Dylan Poteet trying to get a run here. On the back straightaway, down into turn 3. He shows the nose. But would he have drafting help to make a move on Charles Sanford? They're going to be side by side into 3. Poteet not giving an inch. Sanford still there. Who gets the run out of the corner? Topside prevails. Charles Sanford is going to win at Atlanta Motor Speedway. First win of the season for Charles Sanford. Came into this race the 16th seed in the playoffs. The last driver to point his way in, as the playoff grid looked like coming into this Atlanta race. And a pit stop in the closing stages, a call to stay out an extra lap, is going to be the difference between Charles Sanford possibly missing out in the playoffs via points to winning his way into a championship battle here in Season 6. What a strategy call there. I thought it was going to be Ryan Butcher who was going to cycle around. If not for Sanford, Dylan Poteet would have probably cycled around to the race lead since he got around the 78. But Charles Sanford was able to keep them 3 wide behind him. Neither lane was able to get a run. Poteet tried there through 3 and 4 on the last lap out of the final corners, but he didn't have drafting help. And Charles Sanford gets it done. It is the 2nd win of the season for S3 Motorsports. And now it looks like 2 S3 Motorsports cars, at least for the time being, they are going to be battling for the championship, looking to defend the championship that the organization got last season. Standings are official. How about Benjamin Snyder? He's going to get Rookie of the Race as he brings it home in 3rd. Butcher going to drop back to 4th. Reggie Fogelman, who led a race-high 36 laps, will have to settle for a 5th place spot. Dylan Young gets 6th. Nick Gunther in 7th. Keith Batson, Jose Mills, and Quentin Moore will complete the top 10. That was a good run there for Quentin. Well-needed run to keep himself away from 30th in standings. How about Benjamin Miles? That call to stay out until the very end. Had to pit with 2 to go, but he gets an 11th place finish because of it. Will Hoer in 12th. RJ Bishop, Zachary Fitzwater, Joshua Osborne, the rest of the top 15. Osborne will have to wait and see. He was 37 points behind the cut line. I don't think this is going to get him back up in the top 30, but it'll get him closer, though, with 2 races left to go. Kyle Matthews was 16th. Chris Dollerton, 17th. I don't know how much gains he's going to make on the top 30 in points with that run. Michael Norman back in 18th. Matt Haas right there with him in 19th. So the battle for the points lead could potentially be between Haas, Norman, Gunther, and Sanford. It could be closing up there. We'll have to wait and see on that one. I think Haas is still going to have a pretty good gap. James Qualls finishes in 20th. Yeah, with Charles Sanford winning, are we going to have any driver point their way into the playoffs on the grid next week? I don't know. Brand new winner, so that eliminates, well, I think it really all depends on whether or not Joshua Osborne gets back up in the top 30 in points or Jack Dunnard falls out. If Osborne moves into the top 30, I think that no driver on our playoff grid is pointed in. But if Dunnard falls out, that's 2 drivers right now that would point their way in. Take a look at the rest of the finishing results. No cautions today. 65 green flag laps, as we had 39 drivers finish on the lead lap. Anthony McCurry, Nathan Ormond, Noah Hendrickson all finishing off the lead lap. But still, everybody finished this race under power. Where did Destin Bolin finish? 23rd after he was a lap down for a majority of this race after an unscheduled stop. So it could have been a lot worse for the 3-time winner. But what a race here today. We have had some late race dramatics the last couple of weeks. Liera, Chung, now Sanford, all first-time winners on the season, and 2 more races left to go. Next week, Bristol Dirt, the last of the showcased races. And then the Auto Club Speedway, our regular season finale, last opportunity for a driver to maybe get themselves into this season's playoffs. It's getting tight here, folks, as far as our playoff grid is concerned. Going to be interesting to see who is in, who is out when we get ready for next week's race under the lights at the dirt-covered world's fastest half mile. But thank you all for tuning into today's race here from Atlanta. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. We showed you full figure results, and you are now looking at your point standings heading into next week's Bristol Dirt race. Getting close to the end of the regular season, we appreciate you being along for the ride. Until next week, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.